A teenager shot inside a Fern Creek High School classroom.
Really horrifying. It's scary that something like this can happen so close to home.
Frantic parents try to find their children as police search for the gunman.
Our officers apprehended the suspect that was involved in the shooting.
How police track down their suspect and what school officials have to say about whether students are safe. We begin this evening with a WDRB news alert.
A death investigation is underway in Cherokee Park after the body of a preteen male was found.
WDRB's Valerie Chen joins us live from the scene, and Valerie just spoke with police. What do they have to say?
A death investigation is underway here at Cherokee Park near Hogan's Fountain. You can see the police tape op and several police cars behind me. Police say a white boy believed to be in his preteens is the victim. He was transported to Corsair Children's Hospital where he was pronounced dead. There is no official cause of death. Police are waiting on an autopsy. This all started around 4:35 p.m. when a passerby spotted the injured child not far from the scenic loop. That passerby called police. We just talked to Alicia Smiley with LMPD about this case.
There's a parent, there's a relative, there's someone who knows something. We are appealing to the community to please call us with any information that they might have.
Now, police have no ID of this child. They're asking anyone with information on this child to contact them. They're searching missing persons reports as well. Runners are continuing to pass by because this park is still open. This is still a developing story. While the latest on social media and at 10 o'clock. Live at Cherokee Park, Valerie Chen, WDRB News.
Valerie, thank you. A teenager is in custody and a student in the hospital following a shooting this afternoon at Fern Creek High School.
The school was put on lockdown. Students escorted out, and a suspect was caught late this afternoon. WDRB's Emily Muir begins our team coverage with what police and students are saying. Emily.
Tamara, Rachel, police were called here around 1 o'clock today, and we just saw the last police vehicle leave. That was the crime scene unit. When they arrived today around 1, they found one gunshot victim who was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but the gunman had taken off. That's when the school was put on lockdown, and law enforcement officials launched a search. It wasn't until later, around 4 o'clock, that the shooter was taken into custody. Schools nearby were also put on lockdown.
This is senseless. This is unacceptable. This cannot happen in our schools. So we will be cooperating with the Louisville Metro Police Department in any way possible to make sure, A, that we find out who this is and bring them to justice, and B, provide anything that this victim may need.
They was arguing or whatever and pulled up his shirt and just shot him. It was really scary, but I ran away as soon as it started happening, so nothing would happen to me.
Police aren't saying much about the suspect except that he's a juvenile. Others on scene tell me he is a student at Fern Creek. We're told he was taken into custody at Oxford Place, an apartment complex not far from the school. Reporting live from Fern Creek High School, Emily Muir, WDRB News.
Emily, thank you. And immediately after shots were fired at the school, the search for the suspect began.
WDRB's Danielle Lama tells us where police say they finally caught up with the teenager involved. Danielle?
Well, we know that after the suspect was taken into custody, he was brought here to LMPD's 7th Division. The last update we got from police was at about 5:30 tonight, and they told us that he was being interviewed. Now, police tell us that the suspect is a 16-year-old sophomore at Fern Creek High School. Police say they found him at Oxford Place, an apartment complex near the school, at around 4 o'clock. Police gave us an update shortly after that happened. Here's what they had to say.
School has been cleared and secured. Given the all clear, we ask parents to continue to be patient as they're trying to reunite with their children. It's going to take some time to be able to get them from that location. But at this time, again, our officers were able to apprehend the suspect.
And we are working to get more information about the suspect, the possible charges he could be facing. Police say an update would likely come later this evening. For now, reporting live from LMPD 7th Division, Danielle Lama, WDRB News.
Thank you, Danielle. As students were on lockdown today at Fern Creek, hundreds of parents were nearby waiting to be reunited with their kids.
The high school and 2 nearby elementary schools were on lockdown following the shooting. Bus service was also delayed. Students who walk home were allowed to do so, and parents were able to pick up their kids at a nearby park. Some parents were in contact with their children through cell phones who told them what was going on at the school.
Horrifying. Really horrifying. It's scary that something like this can happen so close to home.
Really mad right now. I don't know how a child can get a gun into a school. And
on his Twitter page, Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher said his thoughts were with the injured student and the Fern Creek community, which he said has been impacted by this, quote, senseless act. JCPS staff were with the victim this afternoon at the hospital.
WDRB's Ryan Cummings continues our team coverage and has reaction from the district's top leader.
Superintendent Dr. Donna Hargens visited with a student here at the hospital earlier this afternoon. We are told that he had non-life-threatening injuries. Dr. Hargens arrived at the hospital just before 5 o'clock this evening. She said that she wanted to make sure that the victim was okay and also check on his well-being. As for what happened at Fern Creek High School today, she says schools are supposed to be safe places and all staff members are trained how to handle these events. They went on lockdown. She says students did a great job following all directions. As for the student who was shot, she says she makes sure every student matters and wants to know they're okay and taken care of.
I've been in contact with every piece of this and knowing what's happening, but this is important. Our students are important. Each one of them is important. So I want to make sure that I send my regards to the family and see what is it that we can do for this family.
The district says operations will continue as normal tomorrow at Fern Creek High School. They will also have more counselors on hand and possibly extra police. Outside University Hospital, Ryan Cummings, WDRB News on WBKI.
A missing Louisville woman found in the trunk of a car says she was abducted outside a convenience store. According to police, Andrea Stone says she was leaving the store at the intersection of Rangeland and Old Shepherdsville Roads when she was abducted. She tells police a man was waiting for her in her car, displayed a weapon, and forced her to start driving. At some point, she claims she was forced into the trunk, only to be rescued by Good Samaritans Monday night.
We're going to take the statements she's made. We're going to investigate those statements and investigate them fully. There's no reason at this point to say that that it did not happen at this stage.
So far, no one has been charged in the case.
Homicide detectives need help figuring out what happened to a man who died a day after he was found on the side of the road.
24-year-old Ryan Kenyon was found on River Road near Lime Kiln Lane on September 14th, but later died at the hospital. The medical examiner says Kenyon died from either being hit or falling. Police aren't ruling anything out at this point.
This possibly could have been where he was hit by a vehicle, thrown from one. This is why we're asking for the public's help.
He may have been walking in the area the night before he was found. He was wearing dark clothing. If you have any information about what happened, you can remain anonymous and call the tip line 574-LMPD.
The teenager sentenced to 195 years in prison for killing 3 children in a house fire will go on trial next year for attempted murder of a police officer. Cody Cashin is accused of stealing a car and trying to run over a Clarksville police officer shortly after setting the fire in January. Cashin did not appear in court today, but his attorney and the prosecutor agreed to delay his trial until April. Until then, he will begin serving his prison sentence for the deadly fire. 3 children were killed when Cashin fired a flare gun into a New Albany home. The murder of a Bardstown police officer was drug-related. That's what the director of Kentucky's federal drug program believes. Jason Ellis was ambushed and killed in Nelson County in May of 2013 as he was driving home from work. Republican Senator Mitch McConnell mentioned Ellis when announcing that Nelson and Madison counties have been selected as high-intensity drug trafficking areas. That means they can receive federal money to pay for things like overtime for law enforcement working on drug cases. 26 counties and cities in 11 states received the designation from the Office of National Drug Control Policy. Police say a man took a Louisville woman from a home, held her for 3 days, sexually assaulting her.
According to an arrest report, Juan Offit went to a home on Normie Lane near the interchange between I-65 and the Gene Snyder Freeway last month. Officers say the 49-year-old forced a woman into a car at gunpoint. Police say he then drove her to a home on Saddlebrook Lane near the intersection of Rockford Lane and Cane Run Road, where he held her and raped her. Offit was arrested over the weekend. He's charged with robbery, rape, unlawful imprisonment, and receipt of stolen property. $50,000. That's how much a man accused in a triple fatal crash will need to get out of jail. Police say Nathan Browning ran a red light Sunday night and crashed into another car at Greenbelt and Lower Hunters Trace, killing 3 people. Gary Miller, Heather Smith, and Stevie Smith all died at the scene. Neighbors claim Browning was dealing with personal problems and had been driving erratically just before the crash. A judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf this morning. Tumbleweed at Waterfront Park will be open at least through mid-November.
This morning, a judge did not make a ruling on the restaurant's eviction case. The landlord claims Tumbleweed is behind more than $17,000 in rent. The restaurant says the lease is too expensive and it isn't making money.
The current lease arrangement is too expensive to have a restaurant like Tumbleweed on it. So we were trying to renegotiate a lease so that we could stay there, maintain our employees, provide the good food and service we provide to the waterfront development. Obviously, that's not working out with the city, so we're trying to figure out what we do from here.
Attorneys for Tumbleweed and the landlord are now filing paperwork. They're expected back in court in November. Texas Roadhouse files suit against the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The Louisville-based restaurant chain says the agency is withholding public records that could shed light on the origin of an age discrimination case. The EEOC sued Texas Roadhouse in 2011, alleging a nationwide pattern of discrimination against job applicants over the age of 40 for front-of-the-house positions such as hosts, servers, and bartenders. Texas Roadhouse denies the charges. The restaurant says the EEOC is withholding documents requested under the Freedom of Information Act. Today, the company asked a U.S. District Court judge in Louisville to force the EEOC to comply.
Doctors diagnosed the first case of Ebola inside the United States.
Where it was found and what the hospital is doing to keep other patients and staff safe.
Angry parents concerned about the future of Charlestown's Head Start program. Coming up, why they're worried.
The strongest cold front we have seen this fall is heading in our direction, and I think ultimately it's going to equate to the coolest highs and even some 30s in parts of the area. When to expect that major cool down coming up next.
Federal health officials say the first Ebola case has been diagnosed in the U.S.
They say a patient being treated at the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital has tested positive for the disease. That patient is believed to have traveled to the U.S. from Liberia recently. Hospital officials say they're following recommendations from the CDC to keep doctors, staff, and patients safe.
This individual left Liberia on the 19th of September. Arrived in the U.S. on the 20th of September, had no symptoms when departing Liberia or entering this country, but 4 or 5 days later, around the 24th of September, began to develop symptoms.
And officials at the hospital say the patient is being kept in isolation. Well, the White House is supposed to be a fortress.
So how did a man with a knife get inside the president's home and past Secret Service? On September 19th, intelligence officials initially said Omar Gonzalez didn't get very far. However, according to one whistleblower, Gonzalez overpowered the guard inside those doors, ran past the stairway leading up to the first family's residence, and through the East Room. Now, a House Oversight Committee wants to know why.
Don't let somebody get close to the president. Don't let somebody get close to his family. Don't let them get in the White House, ever.
The Secret Service director called the incident unacceptable and says she will make sure it doesn't happen again.
Pipe bombs hidden in the woods. That's what Pennsylvania State Police say they found while they were looking for a man accused of killing a state trooper and wounding another. They say the pipe bombs were fully functional and could have been set off by either a tripwire or a fuse. 31-year-old Eric Freen has been on the run for more than 2 weeks. Police think he may be hiding in a wooded area near his parents' home in eastern Pennsylvania. Authorities say they are treating the entire search area as if it could be rigged with explosives.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Mark, my ears perked up a minute ago. What did you say about 30s?
Are you not a cold person? You don't like cold weather?
No.
You know, my wife hates the cold seasons here, so there's kind of always in my house a little bit of depression that goes on. I'll tell you, it's going to get a lot colder later this week, and this is one you really need to prepare for. First off, the day started off nicely. This picture sent from Jerry Eaton of the sunrise today, and I thought it was just a brilliant picture with the colors reflecting off the water, looking across the Big Four Bridge. An amazing picture, Jerry. You blew me away with that one. It really was awesome. Today, the high reached 86 degrees, the low 58, so overall above normal again. 76 and 54 where we should be. And records, if you're curious, 94 degrees this time of the year is the hottest we traditionally, or the record for the date from 1953. Now we're at 80, we're partly cloudy, and we've got a northwest wind at 9. Remember, under perfect conditions, the dew point represents basically the coldest you could get. So even if we had perfect conditions tonight, we would still only drop into the upper 50s. So it's still not that cool. However, you can definitely pick the front out. 65 Indy, 67 in Cincinnati, where it's 80 in Louisville. So this front, while it's actually a decent front, only gave us a glancing blow. Now, let's start to look forward here. We've got a front coming through on Thursday, and the question is, Thursday night into Friday, can this thing produce any severe weather? Well, we'd need to see dew points near about 65, which we don't see. We would also need to see this storm system come through during the heat of the afternoon, which I will also tell you it won't. We would need some wind energy and a strong upper level low, and this we have definitely got. This is a powerful low pressure area. It does have wind energy supportive of severe weather Thursday night into Friday. The question simply is when do the storms come through? Well, we look during the overnight hours tonight. We see our northeast counties are definitely cooler, where we got that glancing shot of cool air. During the afternoon tomorrow, it'll be quiet. We'll get back into the low 80s. Then on Thursday, let's see if it comes through in the heat of the afternoon, and the answer is definitively not. It comes through in the cooler part of the day, and what you look at, and I'll change over, by the way, to rain gauges here for you. You can see the line of thunderstorms comes through after midnight, and you can see it comes through in a weak state. I don't think we're going to see severe weather. I do think we're going to see rain and thunderstorms. We'll see the heaviest during the morning, and then we'll linger showers into the afternoon. And you can see here on advanced track, most generally see anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch of rainfall, and that's rain we desperately could use. The slight risk of severe weather from the Storms Prediction Center well to our west for Thursday night, totally agree. I don't think we've got that risk. 57 degrees with clear skies and a calm wind. For the afternoon tomorrow, we're going to reach a high of about 84 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Then up to near 90 on Thursday. The front comes through Thursday night into Friday, where we'll see rain and thunderstorms. We will linger showers into Saturday and then drop to near 39 outside of the city on Sunday with 42 in the city. Here's the thing. From Thursday's high of 89, we drop 30 degrees on Saturday to a high of 59.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Parents in Charlestown are angry about big changes coming to their children's education.
WDRB's Lawrence Smith explains why they're concerned about the future of the Head Start program.
Everything's going wrong. That was the attitude among many stunned parents. They say they had no clue there was a problem with the building that has housed Head Start for years.
And this is ridiculous. They've been in school for a month, and they're just now saying, okay, well, we're going to shut the building down out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere.
That center is closing.
The Community Action Agency of Southern Indiana, which oversees Head Start, says the building is safe. The problem is it's now too small. It does not meet new federal guidelines for space and student-teacher ratio.
The two main issues were the square footage and the way the two smaller rooms were laid out. Just was not going to meet the need anymore, unfortunately.
The agency says it's looking for a new building. In the meantime, it is making room for the 54 Charlestown students at its facility in Jeffersonville. But some parents say it's impossible for them to make the 25-mile round trip.
We can't afford to go, to Jeff every day, all the way back and forth, That's $20 a day.
Melody Williams says her great-grandson has leukemia.
And I do not want him being exposed to like 250 other children, because he will pick up some kind of germs and wind up back in Cosair's Children's Hospital.
Though the letter says the agency will not provide transportation, officials did tell parents in a meeting on Monday that they're exploring all options.
We did encourage them to get among themselves to see, if they could carpool temporarily. We're looking at possibly funding for transportation.
Head Start will take its regular 2-week fall break beginning on Friday. but it will take much longer to find new space.
This is just a temporary thing that we need to try to make best use out of for these children until we find a great facility.
Lawrence Smith, WDRB News.
It's a wristband designed to keep you from being attacked by a shark.
The way it works and why a father and son decided it was time for swimmers and surfers to have some protection.
Keeping the sharks away, that's the goal of a new device just developed by a father and son.
It's called Shark Bands, and it's a magnetic wristband designed to ward off sharks. It works as a repellent. It puts out a field that disrupts sharks' electrical senses. The team says they were inspired to create the device after having some close calls.
After one particularly frightening day in the water, it was just really spooky. I came in, I said enough, like it's time to do something about this. And we started researching different technologies that were available.
The father and son inventor team put their product to the test by putting a shark band in the water and then swimming alongside the sharks. They say the sharks swam away quickly during the trial, proving that their product works. I wouldn't want to test it out.
I know, shark bait. Meanwhile, here we're going to have some cooler temperatures.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you what, the weather pattern this fall is starting to look somewhat like what we saw as we ended last winter. It's going to get sharply cooler later this week, and I think by Sunday morning we'll see some 30s.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight.
See you tonight at 10 on WDRB News.